Hi, welcome to day one of the Cape Wrath Trail, sort of. This is the third time for me that I've been on the trail. I've got 14 days available, and I kind of realised that for me there's no way that I'm going to get from Fort William to the lighthouse in 14 days. I think I need 17. So what I've decided to do is not to start at Fort William, but start at Glenfinnan and spend 13 days walking north. So it's 7 o'clock in the evening and I'm sitting outside the tent. It's 5th of September. So we've probably got about another hour and a half of daylight left, and as you can see, it's been an absolute scorcher of a day. I think it's probably about the hottest day that we've had all summer in the north of Scotland. Not the best day to start off walking because it was hot and it was tiring. So left Glenfinnan because the train was late. Left Glenfinnan I think about 2:15, and so I've walked for about 3.5 hours from Glenfinnan station and camped at the top of the Beerlach. Really pleased that I camped here actually, and because it's so hot it's actually really dry, because I remember the last time that I came over here and I think I camped maybe a couple of 100 meters away from here. The whole area was just soaking, so it's quite dry, and that's nice. So I'm trying to work out in my head. I've got ideas about which hills that I want to go over, and I think it depends how I feel. I was thinking about going up a Munro, which is just on the side of the pass, the Beerlach, Skirtulm, I think it's pronounced. But I was about 26 degrees this afternoon, and I got to the bottom of it and just thought, you know what, I think I need to break myself in for a couple of days before I start thinking about going up hills. I felt quite negative about myself because I didn't go up the hill this afternoon, and I was sort of thinking, oh, you know, that's a really bad start, and it's just stupid. Why? Camped in this really lovely place, nice breeze, there's no midges. I think it's about 500 meters. How good is this? This is morning on day 2, the Cape Wrath Trail, sort of. Just shows you where we camped. What a place to wake up to. Hi, sun's up, it's lovely. I'm now sitting on the bridge over the River Peen, just come down the Glen I think it's called. Looks like it's going to be really hot again. So I am sporting my next base layer made by Montaigne. I believe the model is called Spray On, Shrink to Fit, No Place to Hide base layer. As you can see, it is rather figure hugging. I wasn't going to wear this until about day 10 because I thought by that point my body fat will be down to 5% and I'll look completely ripped and it'll be a good base layer for that. But I've kind of figured that I probably won't see anybody for the next 3 days in Knoydart, so that's probably okay. Yeah, midges are coming out. Midges not bad. I just have quite a low irritation threshold when it comes to midges. Yeah, I totally get the science behind having a completely body hugging base layer. I might consider getting in touch with Montaigne and seeing if they want to do a collaboration and make one that's got some sort of mountain corset for the fuller figured gentleman. Might be worth considering. Anyway, enough of the burbling. So just checked on my map, and that was about 5 kilometers that I've walked, and that took me nearly 2 hours. Gives you an idea of judging time. I'm not very quick at the moment, taking it quite slow because of my pack weight, and I don't want to have a problem right at the beginning. But it's very boggy, very, very wet. You've got to watch out where you put your feet every step. And so, yeah, if you're planning on judging time and distance, there is a path on the map. I have walked along that path, and that's taken me 2 hours for 5 kilometers. And it was downhill. See you later. So that's where I've walked down from. The hill, the pointy hill right in the distance is Streep, I think it's called. And so I came down the valley just in front of that. So I don't know what I'm moaning about. It was absolutely glorious. It's fantastic. So we've just walked along through this forest in Glendessery. That's Ullapool bothy just down there, just on the edge of the trees. So we're going to follow this track, goes down through this forest, up the other side, and then the low point of the skyline, we go over that Beerlach into Neustadt. What a day. So that's where we've come from. And this is where we're going. Down there. And hopefully, in a wee bit, we'll see the sea. And we go somewhere down there. This is the view out of the tent. Absolutely brilliant. Feels like the weather might be changing. Wait and see tomorrow. So that's where I've come from this morning. I think that's where I should be. on that path. It's down by the river. We seem to have followed like a little deer track that's gone a bit higher up. Oh, a bit sunny. It's 10 o'clock, having breakfast, which is really nice to have a stop. This morning's walk's taken a lot longer than I thought it would do, because been stopped for about 4 times for taking photographs. I think I've mentioned a few times my pack's quite heavy. Part of that is because I'm carrying a tripod and my camera kit. Now altogether that lot weighs a bit over 3 kilograms. So 3 kilos extra is quite a lot to take. That's like suddenly deciding to take an extra tent, quite a heavy tent. But I think once I decided that I was going to sort of do the Cape Wrath Trail, I went, well, why not? Why not take my camera stuff and have 13 or 14 days of mountain photography? That hill in the middle there is a hill called Glenfinnan, and I really fancy it. Now the walk, if you follow the idea of the trail, comes up over that Beerlach about there. So you already climb up to about 600 meters. So Glenfinnan makes sense to me as one of the ones that I could do en route. The big question is how do I do it? Now I've been along here before. I know that the walk up to here, up to the Beerlach, is really difficult. It's just really sort of off path, quite challenging. And part of me is thinking, well, if I'm doing that anyway, would it make more sense to kind of come up to here somewhere? And obviously to come along the ridge here will be nowhere near as steep, and as it's quite hot, that might make more sense. Obviously it is possible to kind of come up here, up this grassy band, but looking at the map and the contours, that is criminally steep, so I don't know yet. The other side of it is where I can get water, because the last water is there at the Beerlach. So if I go and follow the ridge like that, then I need to take as much water as I can carry, which means my bag's again a lot heavier, but it gives me the option potentially of camping near the summit of Glenfinnan, which could be unbelievable. So I'm going to have breakfast and see how I feel. So I think we need to go up there. It is hot. Hotter than yesterday. Hotter than the day before. There is no way on earth that I am going up that big hill. Totally changed my mind. When I was down having breakfast, one of my possible options was heading up from the river in the bottom. See that slope? I'm not tilting the camera. It is that slope there. No. this pack, this heat, absolutely not. Right, that's where I've come from, in the valley. And I've come up here. And we're going up there. God, it's hard work in this heat. However, that's a pretty good view though. Hey, so I made it to the top of the Beerlach, and it is beautiful windy. I think if this was your perfect Scottish sitting around Highland summer day, this would be it. Hot and sunny, 20-mile-an-hour wind, no midges. It's not the perfect day for going up a hill though. I'll tell you that. So, there's no way that I'm going up Glenfinnan. Too tired, it's too hot, I don't have enough water. I think honestly, without exaggerating, I could be in danger of heat stroke if I did that. So I think I need to reassess my plans. So, that's where we come from. That up there is Glenfinnan in the distance. So I'm going to go down that way there, down to Barrisdale. That's the plan. So that's where we're heading to. Down at the sea, down there. Been having a lovely time walking down here after the hard work this morning. I'm quite tired, so just listen to some music and sort of random playlist. And the test match special music has just come on. It's amazing walking music. Sitting in the tent, hiding from the midges on Barrisdale campsite, and if you listen, if you hear it, the weather's breaking. Looking at the sound of the thunderstorm that's about to hit us. As it's turned out, I'm quite glad I didn't go over Glenfinnan. I think it could have been horrendous. So, I've had a few cups of tea to try and rehydrate. I'm just going to chill out in the tent for a while, I think. You know what I said about the weather maybe breaking? Well, listen to that. So much for the weather breaking. Look at those reflections. But boys and girls, we all know what reflections mean. Reflections mean midges. That is what it's like coming up the hill from Kinlochthorne in 29-degree heat. This bit probably won't make it into the video. So that's where I walked today so far this morning. On the left hand side of the loch, all the way, and then behind to the left, Kinlochthorne, and then back up this way. Whew, it's a belter. Hello. Well, that is the end of a really, really long, hot day. I know I think it sounds like I'm moaning about the weather, which is absolutely glorious, but that has got to be, I think, the hottest day walking, backpacking that I've ever had. I have a feeling that probably on the news this will be at the moment called something, it'll have a name. This will be the beast from the south, or Mediterranean heat blast or something. Spoke to a guy down in Kinlochthorne who said it was 29 degrees just then. That was at like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. I think it's got hotter as the afternoon's gone on. Anyway, great news is I've just lay down, took all my clothes off, lay down in a river for 20 minutes, which was absolutely brilliant, and now I feel fantastic. So let's have a look at where we are. So that's all my rubbish that I've just gone bleh and chucked all over the floor because I can't handle it anymore. And I'm going to put the tent up somewhere here. And this is it. How good is this? This is exactly what I wanted as a place to camp. Now all I want now is for this little breeze to continue, because if it turns into midgy nightmare, I think I'll cry. I don't think I could cope with any more. Anyway, what a lovely place to be. Honestly, I'm not moaning. I really am not moaning. It's wonderful weather. But there we go. See these lovely grasses that are not really moving very much. Well, there we go. Guess what's happened. But I'm not crying, so that's good. And I was trying to look at some maps and see what's happening. Not sure if you can see the midgy fun out there, but I've come in for a bit, seeing if it'll die down, and then probably go to sleep quite soon. So, hi, I've come inside to read my book, to sort of escape from the midgies. And it's a beautiful evening. It's just, I'm looking outside and it's still a bit rampant out there. I can't read my book because the second I put my glasses on, they're just completely steamed up. It's that hot inside the tent. I think I'm dripping with sweat again. I can honestly say I'd never thought I'd have these problems on the Cape Wrath Trail. It's yeah, not what I expected. So the word on the street, having been speaking to a couple of people down in Kinlochthorne earlier today, is that the weather might be like this tomorrow. It might break. It's supposed to rain maybe in a day or two. I don't, at this point, I don't look on that as a bad thing. I'd quite welcome a day of normal temperatures. There will be a video in a tent in a couple of days' time when I'm completely pissed off because it's been raining all day. And yeah, so it'll be like that, won't it? I've got the camera and tripod set up at the moment outside in a position that I want them to be for when the light changes. I'm hoping I'm not going to regret that decision, because looking at how bad the midges are, I don't want to go outside again. And I can't leave the kids out all night. So yeah, that may be a really stupid thing to do, but maybe we'll get a fantastic photo later. There's some tea rooms in Kinlochlan, which a couple of times I've been before have never been open, and they were open today. It was fantastic, because I think I drank about 3 pints of tea with loads of sugar in them. Had some food. It was really, really nice. Just sat talking to this really nice guy from Edinburgh who'd come up on his motorbike and he's asked me what I was doing and stuff, and I was mentioned about the photography, and he said, "Oh, is that your job?" I was going, no. Who knows? Man can dream, can't he? Morning. It's a much more pleasant day today. It's still quite warm, but it's cloudy, it's windy. Oh, it's brilliant. I haven't gone very far. I think I've spent 2.5 hours going about, I don't know, a kilometre, because I'm having photography fun. As you can see, what I'm doing at the moment is looking up there, and the mist keeps, and this mountain keeps coming in and out of the mist, and I'm trying to see if I can get a photo. Just loads of mist hanging around it. It'll look really cool if it works, because I'm not that good a photographer. Sorry, I keep putting my hand in front of the camera because I get a sore arm holding my phone up. Yeah, decided not to go up a hill today. I was going to go up a hill this morning and think, oh, that would be nice to go up a hill. And I'm just really enjoying taking photographs. So that's what I'm going to do. So I've come over the pass by the saddle, down into the glen below. That's the way we're going. It's been pouring with rain for about the last 2 hours, which is a bit of a shame, because I was wanting to get the camera out, because there is some incredible shapes and light and stuff going on, which would be really cool. But too wet, as you can see. Maybe see you down in Shieldbridge. That looks amazingly magical, though. These few days today. Beautiful little woodland. So, I think this is Sunday morning now. I'm walking towards the Falls of Glomach from Morvich. Spent the night at Shieldbridge last night. I'm not sure if you can see anything with this view at all, because my phone's in its waterproof case, so it might be a perfect misty lens, but it's very misty anyway. And it's raining, and it's been raining all night, all morning. I think it's going to rain all day. So I think it's one of those days where I'm just going to push on. If I can, I'd quite like to get to Malbuya, Bothy, because if it's going to be wet all day, it would be quite nice to be in a bothy tonight. But we shall see. If I ever end up getting rich and famous, I think what I want to do is I want to buy a much more expensive digital camera that has a higher level of waterproofing, because the photography opportunities today are just incredible. The mist and the light and the hills and the shapes and the trees, be amazing. But I'm not getting my camera out in this. I think that could be the end of the trip, really. Oh jeez, I'd quite like to have a sit down. I've been going now for, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours. But this is a midge disaster zone if I sit down. I'd also quite like to have a pee, but that involves standing still for however many seconds. So we shall have to see. Right, that is toilet break over. That was successful. Far too much information for a Sunday morning. I think this is day 6, and I'm recognising from the signs from stuff that I've done before that I am starting to hit hunger time. I think I'm getting into calorie deficit, and I know this because when I was walking through Shield Bridge towards Morvick, there was a cafe, and I could see this cafe from 500 metres away, and I was just spent 10 minutes of fantasising of whatever 2 breakfasts I was going to have. I have had breakfast already this morning, but you know, and so it was just becoming quite a big thing in my head. And I got there, it was shut. So, yeah, that was a sort of pick yourself up kind of moment. I need to get on top of that. Oh, excuse me. I need to get on top of that because there's about 3 days now, I think, 4 days before I could maybe satisfy my cravings for anything high calorific, fatty food type stuff. So anyway, if you do any long distance walking, those of you that do that, you recognise it. So that's where my body's at the moment. So the rain's just stopped, so I've just had 20 minutes of fantastic time photographing that, which might not look much, but I'm hoping once it's edited and I've processed it, that it could be some really, really good stuff. But even if there's not, I have had such a good time. That has made my day. I don't care now if it pisses it down for the rest of the day. That has been such a good 20 minutes. I'm so glad that I brought the camera and the tripod. And I'm going to say it again, it bloody well weighs 3.5 kilos. But I'm so glad that I bought it. Oh yeah, by the way, there's midges. Oh, looks like the break in the weather could be over. Yeah, it's a nice spot up here. But I think it's going to get really, really wet very soon. Check that! Tiny little sandy beach on a loch in the rain. 3 days ago, I'd have been all over that. I mean, straight in. It's still quite warm, but I'm not quite ready for a swim yet. Maybe later. Right, in the tent, finally. Got it up in the rain. Everything's very wet. I'm just lying down, just trying to recover. That was a long day. That felt hard today. Sometimes you have good days, sometimes you have harder days. Seem to have quite a lot of hard days at the moment, maybe, if the video's right. One of the things about doing little videos on the way is that actually it's quite a good reminder, because I've just spent 10 minutes looking through stuff that I filmed today, and there's lots of times today that I felt really positive. Had a really nice time a couple of times with the camera, stuff like that, and so it's nice looking back on that to actually know, yeah, that was a good day, because right at this moment my feet are sore, my hips are sore, my back's knackered, I'm just shattered. I'm too old for this. Going to do a bit of a sort of almost like a stream of consciousness at the moment. So you might not want to watch it, you might have to skip until there's some more mountain fun. I think one of the reasons, or the main reason why today was a really challenging day, was just personal to me, which was the Falls of Glomach. You might have been there yourself, you might have seen videos of it, but I was at the top of it looking at the pathway, and it scared the living crap out of me, I can honestly say. That, and I just thought, in the rain, with my bag, I don't want to go down there. That looks, I'm really, really uncomfortable about it. Part of that is acknowledging the fact that I don't really like heights, and that I think part of that is very difficult for me to say that, because, you know, one of the things I do in my life is that I run a mountain leading or mountain guiding company, and I'm a big wuss and I don't like heights. I used to rock climb to a reasonable standard, and I used to be a tree surgeon in my 20s, and for whatever reason I just really stopped enjoying heights and became very sort of nervous about certain things. And so coming to the Falls of Glomach, I vaguely knew what it was like, and then when I saw the path, I just thought, I went along it a wee bit and just felt, I really don't like this, I'm not happy, I'm really, really unhappy about this. And ended up turning around and coming back and doing a sort of like 3-hour detour, really, 3 or 4 hour detour, back up the river, walking for 2 or 3 miles, bog trotting across bogland and moorland to get to another path that came down a bit further up, still very, very steep, but not like Glomach. So that's quite strange to say, really, for me, and acknowledge the fact that, yeah, I don't like heights, and that makes me feel like a real failure. And so I kind of had quite a challenging day, because I just beaten myself up really about that. I'm lying on my back in the tent, which is possibly why I end up having about 14 chins or whatever. I just had a look back at the that bit I just filmed, and it's quite cathartic actually, talking to camera. It's quite nice, it made me feel a lot better. I was trying to work out whether actually I would include it in the video. We shall see, you won't know until it's in. And the main reason for that is that I might have potential clients watching this, and how does that make me look from a business point of view? When I really think about it, I think it actually makes me better at my job, because I go to places that I'm comfortable taking people. I understand what it's like if you're uncertain about heights, if you're nervous about things. I understand what that does to your body, and what it does to your mind, and what it does to your fatigue and your clumsiness and all that sort of stuff. So actually, yeah, I might leave it in. Maybe it's maybe it's better from a business point of view. Morning. Bit of a rainy, drizzly morning. I think it's been chucking it down most of the night. I had a really good sleep though, which is good. Remind me never to do this again in mid-season, although the way things are going with temperatures, I don't know when mid-season's going to be really in the future. It could be permanent. Cause so many, I find midges cause so many hassles and problems, and I don't mean the midges themselves, just how I end up breaking things because of midges. So last night I was getting into my tent in such a rush because the midges were doing a nut in, trying not to get too many of them into the inner tent. Ended up getting into the inner tent too fast, getting something caught on my back and breaking where the corner of the inner tent attaches onto the outer tent. And then this morning I was having a lovely cup of coffee, and then it started raining again, so I did up the outer tent. Had to hurriedly get the inner tent done up as quickly as possible because the midges coming in. Ended up spilling half a cup of coffee all over my sleeping bag. I'm just thinking, oh, don't. I'm going to get into my sleeping bag at 6 o'clock tonight, and I'm going to be tired, and I'm going to be cold and wet, and I'm going to get into my sleeping bag and it's going to be wet with cold coffee. And it's just freaking midges. None of that would have happened if it wasn't for midges. I don't mind rain, I can handle rain. It's just, yeah, comes with the territory. But when I did this in the middle of October before, didn't have any of these problems. So, note to self, really pay close attention to the seasons. So after 5 or 10 minutes reflection on that period of depression, I think what I'm going to do is try and make another cup of coffee and see if that isn't a disaster. And then at some point this morning I'm going to attempt to do some more photography, because boys and girls, as we all know, photography seems to make me happy. So that might turn my day around into something beautiful. There we have, water's back on, round 2, hopefully coffee works this time. And that's the view out of the tent this morning. It's actually not a bad place to be. I seem to, in my exhausted, befuddled state of last night, managed to find quite a nice place to camp. Here we have Coffee Mark 2. Looking at the organisational tidiness of my tent, it is absolutely astounding to me that anything could have got knocked over at all the first time around. Look, everything organised, everything in its place, a place for everything. Yeah, just as it should be. How cool is that? I've just spent an hour pretending to be a professional landscape photographer. God, what a life. So happy. And to make it even better, I have just managed to pack up my tent, pack up my rucksack, and do it all outside of the tent instead of having to pack everything inside of the tent because of the rain and the midges. Because the midges are not as bad as they were, and it stopped raining. That is where I'm going to, up the head of the glen, and then it goes over the past the Beerlach over to Malbuya Bothy, and then on from there. This is where I came from yesterday, and I came, pretty sure, came down that slope down there off the skyline. Okay, pretty sure that's where it was. Yeah, so all that moaning about spilt coffee, well, we'll have to deal with that at 6 o'clock, but already it's a better day. I think it must have rained quite a lot in the night because there's a lot more water around than there was yesterday. There's another big waterfall up there. I think there must be something going on with the geology in Kintail. There's more waterfalls here than I've seen anywhere. It's incredible. Obviously you've got the famous Falls of Glomar, but we don't talk about that one. But it almost feels like every 300 or 400 yards there's a waterfall that anywhere else you'd go, God, that's like 50 metres. So a couple of times in my walking life I've fallen over in rivers like this, and the reason I've fallen over and got totally wet through is because I was trying to work my way across stepping stones and trying not to get my feet wet. And what I kind of learned from that is that if the water level is getting reasonable and it's reasonably high, you're much safer just accepting the fact your feet are going to get wet and walking through it with walking poles rather than trying to balance your way across, which is much more dangerous. Anyway, that's today's public information lesson. I'm sitting inside Malbuya Bothy, which is beautiful. It's a really, really cool place. I really like this. And I think it's one of the remotest bothies, I think, in Scotland, Malbuya. The closest road is right where Strathcarron is, and I think that I'm probably going to walk there later, and I think that's about 12 miles, something like that. In fact, to say I'm going to walk there later, I'm not, because I've just made a decision that I'm going to stay here. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I think it is so lovely. It would be brilliant just to spend time in this really amazing place. So that's Malbuya Bothy, just there. The sun's just come out, which is amazing because it's been chucking it down with rain. for that last 2 or 3 hours. So this is where I had to come across just now, or a couple of hours ago, to get into the bothy. So the water levels have gone up a lot in the last day. So this is about, when I crossed it was about knee deep, so you've got to be quite careful really. One of the reasons why I'm not massively fussed about drying out my boots is that when I leave tomorrow I'm going to have to cross this again, probably down the bottom there where I think just before it joins into another river, because I'm going to be heading up round the corner of that hill there tomorrow morning. But oh, it's lovely, really, really nice. That feels like a really good, nice decision to stay here for the afternoon. It's really good. Oh no, not sure if this is going to quite work because I'm videoing while I'm walking along a track. So I left Bothy a couple of hours ago. I had such a great day yesterday. I'm so pleased that I decided to stay. It's great. I had some amazing photography fun in the afternoon and the evening. Who knows, might be good, difficult to tell. But I was trying to take these photos of the bothy while in the sort of peaty bog, and it's obviously very wet. Yeah, it's obviously very wet, and so I just decided, you know what, I won't wear boots, I'll just go in bare feet, which was really beautiful. It was lovely. And then I got to a point of going, well, I think I need to kneel down to have the camera lower and things like this. So I thought, oh fuck it, I'll just take my trousers off. So I spent an hour taking photographs in my pants and my down jacket. Good thing is, Bothy is so remote. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's very liberating. Or it was, until I walked back into the bothy and there was some bloke just arrived making a cup of tea, and I'm walking in barefoot in my pants and my down jacket going, oh hang on, I'll just put some trousers on. That's photography. He was a very nice guy. He was doing the Cape Wrath Trail as well. For some strange reason, he decided that he was going to carry on walking for an hour and put his tent up somewhere else. I'm sure it had nothing to do with me. But I come on long walks like this, sort of multi-day treks. I find that I often go on a bit of a journey. I don't just mean getting from point A to point B, but a journey in my thoughts and developments and things like that. You might get from the beginning of the video that it sounded like that I wanted to do something different. Oh, I'm going to do the Cape Wrath Trail and I'm going to go up some hills and that sort of thing. And I didn't at the beginning because it was so ridiculously hot. But I think, to be honest, I'd sort of got that in my head as I needed to do that because, I don't know, for some reason in my psyche I felt like I needed to prove that to myself or to other people. And that thing of needing to prove something, that I can do something a bit different, It's just ridiculous, really. There's absolutely no need for it. So what the last few days has developed into and has changed into me is, and I'm sure you're possibly getting this, is that I absolutely love the idea of taking photographs in the wilderness. Now, whether those photographs become anything, I'm going to say it doesn't matter, but it kind of does, because I'd be a bit peed off if everything's rubbish. But the process of doing it for me is so mindful, in that just look at so much detail, like as you're walking along, and I find that I'm constantly looking for colour change and light and mist and layers and things like this. It's really eye-opening for me, and I love the way that it makes me walk. Really enjoying it. So, come down this track. It's turned into a lovely day. And heading down this way and over to Strathcarron, which is going to be over there somewhere, I think. So that's where I've come from. So I'm on this track heading to Lochcarron. It's turned out to be an absolute stonker of a day. It's wonderful. I'm not sure if you can pick out on this, but that down there is the sea. I think it looks like Lochcarron on the other side. And those hills up behind are the hills on the way to Applecross. And then over here you're starting to get some of the hills of Torridon. Well then, I'm in a very, very slow start this morning. I need to get packed up and I'm gone. I think it's about 9:15, which for me is ridiculously late. Yesterday I had a really good day yesterday. I was really happy with the walk that comes from Malbuya Bothy over towards Strathcarron. It was great up until, I'd say, the last couple of hours, because the way I came, I ended up coming down to the road, which at a place called Atterdale, I think it is, Atterdale Gardens, which then meant, I think, about 2.5-3 mile walk on the road to get to Strathcarron. So I'm thinking, oh, that's okay, because I'm going to get some food at Strathcarron Hotel. And I didn't, because it was rubbish, and basically I got there at about 4:15, it didn't open till 6:30, and I thought I can sit around and wait, and then I'm kind of in a place I don't want to be at 7:30 after I've had food. So I just thought, no, I can't wait for this. So I was all hungry and disappointed, and then so I'd walked 3 miles on the road, and then I ended up walking another 3-4 miles or something maybe on the road. So in total about 2 and a bit hours of road walking. Or maybe not that far, but it felt like that. Which was just horrible in terms of on my feet. My feet were really sore. So that kind of spoiled it a bit, and then got to a little place called Coolags, which is about 2 houses or something, I think it is, and then come up the glen from Coolags, walked up an hour up the glen, which was further than I wanted to walk because I was really tired and hungry, and put my tent up outside the bothy in the glen. So the plan this morning is get carry on up the glen to the Beerlach at the end, up over into Glentorridon. So that's where I've come from this morning, past that loch, down there somewhere. And that's where I'm heading, the Beerlach there. So here I am, nearly at the top of the Beerlach. Oh, I love this area around here. It's really great. So, over there, that's Malchenjarak. Behind it, about there, is Andred Stack. And as we come around here, Skuru. It's great, isn't it? So I'm just having to sit down and having a rest in one of the best mountain views in the world for me. So we'll be carrying along this path along here for a bit, and then heading across country down there somewhere, and then there's a path that leads down into Glentorridon in the bottom. So the hills we've got, as I say, Skuru behind me, Ben Leithmore, Skur and Lochanunya, Skurdu. As I say, this is the whole of Ben 8, which is a massive, massive mountain. Then Leach, and then it's a bit tricky to see, but I'm pretty sure that then turns into Ben Alligan over there. As you can see, it's a wee bit colder up here, but that's brilliant. This actually, in a way, apart from a photography point of view, this is the best day so far in weather terms. It's really cool wind. You can put clothes on. There's no midges, not up here. It's great. In the last couple of sections I've been naming mountains. Part of that is because I know this area very, very well, but also I think a lot of the names sound absolutely lovely. I think it's quite important. I mean, I'm not Scottish, and I'm obviously not Scottish, but I've lived in the Highlands for I think 23 years or something now. And I'm not part of Gaelic culture, but I do kind of think if you're gonna spend time in these mountains, I think it's almost only respectful to actually make an effort to pronounce them properly. It kind of does bug me when people completely butcher the names of mountains, and there's no reason to. You don't have to be an expert in Gaelic to actually make some sort of effort. I mean, download an online Gaelic dictionary. There's quite a few around, and you can put most of the words for the names of hills you can put into a Gaelic dictionary, and it will give you a voice recorded pronunciation, and it'll tell you what it means. And it's actually, I don't know, maybe it's just the obscure way that my head works, but I find it quite enjoyable actually working out the names of hills. And I know that there's websites like Walk Highlands and things like that have the pronunciations and the meanings, which is really good. It's quite fun to do it yourself. Hello. Not sure how good the sound's going to be because it's quite windy this morning. I spent the night at Kinlochhew campsite last night, which I wasn't going to, but then actually I'm really glad that I did because it was quite a rough night with pretty strong winds, and I think if I'd have carried on, it would have been like 40-mile-an-hour winds up in the mountains, really. I also had amazing pizza at this sort of cafe place. It was delicious. It was really, really cool. So my plan is today, what I've decided, today is Thursday, I've decided that I'll get the bus back to Inverness on Sunday morning from Braymore Junction, which is on the Ullapool road. So what that does is, instead of pushing on through at the normal sort of full day sort of speed that I would do, I'm hopefully only going to walk about 3 hours this morning to I want to camp at Glenfinnan, which is in Fisherfield, the Fisherfield wilderness, and then on the Friday only again walk for maybe 4 or 5 hours, I'm not sure, see how it goes, and camp near bothy, and basically just have a really chilled, slow time coming through Fisherfield. So that sounds nice. Now I don't know whether because of that my body is winding down, but my feet feel sore today. It feels like it's reacting to the fact that it's a sort of easy day, and my feet are going, you know what, I think I'll start causing problems. But yeah, it all feels a bit sore. But today is going to be windy, which is brilliant, and I'm really looking forward to that, because today was probably the first time this morning, I know I was on the campsite, but it was probably the first time in 10 days where I've just sat with my tent open, drinking a cup of coffee. I don't even have to think about midges. It's brilliant. So this is Fisherfield Forest, which is just fantastic. It is huge. It is one of the biggest wilderness areas in Scotland, really. It's the area northwest of Kinlochhew. This mountain here is Sleoch, which looks completely different from the usual aspect from Loch Marie. It's totally different from this side. I think that is Ben Lair. I think that one there is Avetchin, which is probably the most remote Munro in Scotland, I think. Could be wrong, but maybe Ben Tarsarin. And up here somewhere, Mulach Corribicurcha. It's a fantastic place. It's amazing. So there's a couple of little lochans here that are coming up, and then after that we get Glenfinnan, and that's where I'm going to hope to camp. Looks beautiful. It is cold, it's windy, it keeps raining hard and then blowing through. But if it stays like this, it could be an amazing afternoon to put a tent up and chill out in. This is amazing. Right, I put my tent up by Glenfinnan, and the weather's closed in a bit. Let's hope maybe that it clears up in a bit, because that is very windy and very wet. So see what happens. So this is the view out of the tent at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's no longer wet and windy. It's lovely. And at this moment in time, doesn't seem to be any midges. Hi. Total change in the weather this morning. The wind has completely dropped. And there's midges coming out, which is not so good. But I've just spent about an hour and a half photographing one composition. About, I don't know, 40 photographs of pretty much exactly the same shot. Just because I took a lot of time setting the composition up and walking along the loch shore trying to find something a bit more interesting. It'll be really funny when I get home and I start looking at them properly, because it's quite difficult to see on the screen on my camera. If the composition's completely rubbish. But I have had a nice time, and I think for me, that's what photography gives me at the moment. I think it's a bit like those aspects of, say, like going fishing, where you ideally you want to catch fish, but a lot of the joy is, I think, the joy of the chase and the hunt and having an excuse to sit in one place for 2 hours. Yeah. So it's about 6 o'clock in the evening, and I am sitting a bit away from my tent. There's my camera, by the way. Tent's over there. I'm in this, on the edge of this, I suppose it's like a woodland of these older trees, these really mature older trees, just below Ancella, the mountain up there. I think Cheneval Bothy's maybe another 2 or 3 kilometres further down the valley. It's a really lovely place to sit. It's gone quite cold. It's either that or I'm starting to feel a bit rough. I've got a bit of a sore throat, and maybe maybe I've got a cold coming on. Morning. It was quite a cold night last night, but I managed to have a really, really good sleep, so that's really good. I think this is my last night in the tent, actually, because today I'm walking over from Cheneval over to Inverleil, and I've already got a night booked in a hostel. So heading over to Inverleil today, which I think pretty much is a full day's walk, so should be a nice day, good time. It's funny how I don't know, I'm sure it probably shows in the video, I don't know how my kind of focus of this walk has changed hugely through time into being very, very much photography based, and I really like that, really happy about it. So if I show you, so here we have my camera sitting on a tripod, photographing this older tree that's sitting there. And this is why, for me, I really getting a lot out of what I'm doing with the photography, because I'm so interested in the idea of very, very subtle changes in height and changes in angle as to what you can achieve in a photo, and whether it makes it effective or not. Because what I've been doing for the last sort of half an hour is moving the camera around in order to try and change the positioning of the branches in this older tree relative to the sort of hill horizon in the background, and to create the most sort of visually pleasing sort of image. I find that so interesting and kind of aware of what's going on. Yeah, anyway, blah blah blah. So I'm walking up the track, heading out of Fisherfield. This place is amazingly beautiful. So, camp down in the woods down the bottom there. It's a stunning, stunning location. I'm so glad that I sort of kind of took the last couple of days slow and just spent, 2 nights really enjoying this area. It's incredible. So that's the sea down there. It's Loch Broom that leads along to Ullapool. And that's the Ben Gerag group of hills. Basically, that's the north. I spent a lot of years doing a job that, in retrospect, I found very stressful and was quite hard. And all the long distance walking that I did, a major aspect of it was a sort of stress relief and to escape from that. For the last year and a bit, since I've finished that part of my life, I feel a much happier person, and I am a lot less stressed. I don't really feel that stressed at all about stuff. And so this is the first big walk that I've done that's got no baggage with it, where I'm not taking anything to let go of or anything like that. And that's been very different. It's been very different. I've really enjoyed it, and I think a huge turning point for me on this walk was deciding to spend the afternoon in Malbuya Bothy, a week or so ago, and just making that decision to go, that's fine, it's no rush, don't need to get anywhere particularly, take your time. I'm so glad I did that, so glad I did it. So I've had an absolutely fantastic, however many days it is, let's call it 12, I don't know, absolutely brilliant. I've gone through extreme heat, I've gone through heavy rain, I've gone through just nice Scottish weather. It's been brilliant. And spending 2 days taking my time coming through Fisherfield has been really, really special. I think that's been the highlight for me, because the times I've been through Fisherfield before, the weather hasn't been that good and I haven't seen that much, of the big mountains. So that's been brilliant. So pretty much got about an hour of my walk left. I think is this day 12 maybe? Can't remember. Yeah, I feel really sad about it. I feel quite emotional. Don't want to finish. Don't want to finish. If I walk north from here, it's about maybe 5 days, 6 days to Cape Wrath. And that's not really what's bothering me. It's not bothering me the fact that I want to complete the Cape Wrath trail kind of thing. I just don't want to stop walking. I think after about 8 days, maybe 7 or 8 days, you just take a time when everything works and your camping's really seamless and backpack doesn't feel as heavy, you feel fit, and yeah, it's really good. It's times like this where I start to have fantasies about walking like the Appalachian Trail for 6 months in America. I can totally get why you'd want to just walk and walk and walk